Radiant team back. Dire team back. Radiant team pick.
Hello and welcome back to the Netolic Raid Call West Division Pro League Losers Bracket Round 2. Sorry about that, that was a little slow on the uptake. Want to remind you all that our official sponsor for this tournament is Raid Call channel 2013 2013, like the year, has giveaways and discussion of the games all throughout the tournament. You can definitely check that out. Official website for this tournament is netolicraidcall.com, netolic-raidcall.com, and this, of course, is Netolic TV, your English casting destination for the entirety of this tournament, twitch.tv/NETOLICTV. I am Vikrman. I'm going to be solo casting this game. I think for the next game, I will be joined by my co-caster El Presidente. But for now, you're stuck with me, unfortunately, and here we go. Meenix Esports versus Shitbirds. We see Meenix already drafting the time-honored, well, not even really time-honored, because this has really become a popular dual core to go with. In the last, I would say approximately month to month and a half, this Lone Druid Juggernaut approach has just become extremely popular. I actually almost can't overstate just how popular this combo has become. It gives you a lot. It gives you 2 cores, which makes heroes like Bane, who are very popular, a little less useful because they're single-target disabling specialists. Juggernaut has magic immunity, which is a critical thing in a metagame where people pick supports with amazing magic, like Rubik, like Nyx Assassin. When you can't pick up Lifestealer, as he's of course been first banned in this game, Juggernaut becomes an attractive proposition. It gives you great pushing power, because obviously the healing ward of the Juggernaut will actually heal up the bear that the Lone Druid brings to the table. And that lets you do a lot of damage to towers, really make a push hard to fight, and if you can keep your healing ward safe, it actually is just incredibly effective in general, just to even secure your advantage in team fights. And so consequently, Lone Druid Juggernaut has become a popular approach. Shitbirds, meanwhile, they go with Bat Rider, Nyx Assassin, Gyrocopter. Sort of an overall good stuff lineup, as it were. 3 of the best heroes in the game. 3 of the best heroes that didn't find themselves banned out. And so they draft up the Gyro, most likely in a core capacity. It is possible to rotate Gyro into something like a mid role or a support role, but most of the time we do see him in that number 1, or sometimes maybe a sort of joint farming role with a solo safe and then a Gyro-based tri-lane. We'll have to see what pans out as far as that goes. Regardless, Gyrocopter, then Nyx Assassin, Bat Rider, just overall excellent heroes. Bat Rider, of course, one of the best mid heroes in the game, can also be run in the jungle to great effect, potentially vulnerable to warding up that jungle, but still a strong jungling hero. Nyx Assassin, meanwhile, excellent both as a support and occasionally as a mid in a pinch. And so we follow up into the second ban phase. While these teams ban out heroes, I'd like to set the stage for y'all just a little bit. We do have, both of these teams have made it through to the second round of the losers bracket. They are still playing best of 1, so the winner of this game moves on to the losers bracket round 3, whereas the loser will go home. The loser will be out of the tournament as of this game. So high stakes, no question about it. Shitbirds, of course, coming out of the losers bracket, so they were seeded into the lower bracket of the 2, but they won their last game against Pain Gaming, which was actually by default, unfortunately. And here we're going to see them going up against Meenix, who fell from the winners bracket after losing 2-1 to, I believe, Arctic in the first round. That was an interesting series, by the way. I do recommend that y'all check it out. But nonetheless, they find themselves in the losers bracket fighting to stay alive against Shitbirds, who actually, we haven't seen them in this tournament in a little while. They have been competing in a variety of other tournaments, sometimes under the name Skill Difference, so I wonder what they're actually going to settle on as a team name in the long term. But sometimes on this name. They did do fairly well in a couple of the smaller scale tournaments. They did unfortunately fail to qualify for ATOD, the reverse captains mode tournament. I watched some of their qualifier games. The ATOD qualifiers were actually 5v5 only mid-same heroes. So it was a very... doesn't tell us much about the team, but should be interesting nonetheless. It's a good watch for sure. So, second ban phase. Back to that. We sort of set the stakes. Now let's take a look at what these teams are strategizing for. You see Shitbirds with this Magnus ban and the Chen ban. Magnus is more of a generic good stuff ban if you don't want to see that hero. Meenix are still fishing for a mid. None of these three heroes are really mid heroes. We've seen Lone Druid go up in the mid sometimes, but he's not especially strong. It's very, very gankable. In fact, Alliance, formerly No Tidehunter, ran the Lone Druid in mid a couple times recently and really got punished by a heavy ganking presence. So I actually, more likely than not, would not expect Meenix to be running the Lone Druid mid here, which means they still need a mid hero, and quite a few have gotten banned out. Well, just the Magnus and the Puck, really. We still have things like Queen of Pain, which we've seen Meenix run before. Obviously, Templar Assassin, actually, that's a hero that's sort of been resurrected in the metagame. Shitbirds, meanwhile, other than the Magnus ban, they've been focusing on push heroes, which makes perfect sense. Juggernaut and Lone Druid, these are heroes with a heavy ability to push, and adding on something like a Chen or Nature's Prophet would make that push extremely difficult to deflect. So it's no great surprise, of course, that you do have those heroes getting banned out. Still a potential dangerous tri-lane coming out from Meenix, depending on what this follow-up for Rubik is, and there are quite a few options. There's Lina, Leshrac, even something like a Venomancer or Crystal Maiden, if we want to get really weird. Probably they wouldn't do that because there's higher tier supports available, but those supports are options. All of those heroes in combination with the Rubik and the Juggernaut lead to a very difficult lane. Juggernaut can be very, very annoying when he's supported by stunners or immobilizers or slowers, because the entirety of that Blade Fury is going to just be smacking on your heroes and dealing an incredible quantity of damage. During which time, I should mention, he's also, of course, immune to most forms of crowd control. So, this could be a very dangerous tri-lane, paired up with the Brewmaster probably going into the middle, and the Lone Druid solo safe. So that would be a very good, robust all-around lineup. Yes, we do see Lina, so no big surprise. I would say that that was one of the two most likely, the other one being Leshrac. And so Meenix have a very strong lane setup here, the only downside being it's fairly predictable. They will almost certainly be going with Lone Druid solo safe, Juggernaut, Rubik, Lina, tri-lane in the aggressive, and then the Brewmaster middle. The other option is something like Brewmaster still in the middle, tri-lane safe, and Lone Druid solo hard, but Shitbirds honestly could take something like a Bane to make that Lone Druid's life in the solo hard hell, so I don't know if that's such a fantastic idea. I don't think they'll take Bane either, frankly. They actually need a mid, so never mind. No, sorry. They're going to run Batrider mid, most likely. Shitbirds, they get the Enchantress. That'll go up in the jungle. This creates what's most likely sort of a Nyx Assassin Gyrocopter. Then with the Enchantress coming out of the jungle. Enchantress, of course, very, very good at brawling in the first few levels, just because she's able to... Ooh, Razor, huh. Very interesting pick. So Shitbirds feeling like they want to take a chance, and they pick up that Razor. Dilated Mind will be playing on him. I suppose he's going to be going up in the middle, and this is an interesting lineup. Brewmaster versus Razor, not something you see every day. The other option is Razor in the safe lane, tri-lane, and then Gyrocopter mid, Batrider solo hard going up against what's likely to be the Lone Druid. Batrider versus Lone Druid is a lane the Batrider doesn't really have that much trouble with, at least until level 5 on the Lone Druid. Either way, I'm intrigued by this Razor pick. Razor, of course, if you're not terribly familiar with the hero in a high level or a professional context, is a bit of a wacky hero. He's a semi-carry in some respects. He's able to really dominate the mid-game primarily through use of this one ability, Static Link. And what this does, of course, is steal the damage of a hero and take it for Razor's own self. So that can be very, very consequential. It will. I think the way it works now is that if Juggernaut actually spins in the middle of it, it'll stay on Juggernaut as he Blade Furies. So this Razor going to be doing a lot of damage, able to, as soon as he sort of levels up Static Link, and is able to make it last the full duration. Now, the issue here is that Razor is a little flimsy, especially if they choose to run him in the mid. It's more likely that they'll actually run him in a side lane carry role. But then whoever they run mid, unless it's Batrider, is going to be potentially vulnerable to gank approaches. They could run Nyx Assassin too, but I just worry about Shitbirds' laning a little bit. I'm slightly concerned about the Razor. Not that this isn't an interesting pick. Razor, he doesn't require too much farm to be effective. He's one of those heroes that the tankier he is, the better he is, because he's better in a sustained fight. Static Link, Plasma Field, which is a more or less short-ish cooldown nuke, and Eye of the Storm, which is a damage over time ability, all require Razor to sort of stay alive. So unlike a lot of carries who sort of build a lot of damage, Razor really focuses on tankiness first and foremost. A little tracking note about Razor too, of course. He's one of the few heroes that actually likes Sanjin Yasha. Sanjin Yasha is a fairly strong pickup on him, although frankly we're seeing a little bit of a rehabilitation of Sanjin Yasha in general, because we do see life stealers building it these days as well. We do have a pause here. I think one member of Meenix is in the bathroom. Hopefully we'll be able to get started fairly quickly. So, while we do have somebody in the bathroom, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the players. Tiao Carrera from Meenix. He will be going up on that Lina. The other support, of course, being Gizi on the Rubik, who actually, this is an interesting choice putting him on Rubik. Usually, Gizi would be playing the number 3 role for Meenix. He's usually their off-laner. So, interesting. I suppose that means that this, yeah, so Kowal will be their stand-in, and he is playing number 3 as this Juggernaut. Sono on the Lone Druid, which leaves Fuzzy for... Who am I missing in their lineup? Brewmaster, for the solo mid Brewmaster. Yes, Fuzzy is their usual solo mid. So it looks like they just moved Gizi over to one of the support roles. I actually really like this. I think the number 3, or if Sono is the number 3, the number 1, I think one of these cores that isn't the mid is actually the best place to put a stand-in. This is just a theory of mine. It's not vindicated by too much statistics or anything. But a lot of people, when they bring in a stand-in, will have that stand-in play one of their 2 supports. And I'm not actually convinced of the wisdom of that, personally, because I feel like the relationship between your 2 supports is so tremendously important that it's best to have 2 of your standard players on those 2 support roles in order to make sure that you have excellent coordination between the 2, good communication, and just sort of that preternatural sense of what the other support is thinking that I don't think you can get easily with a stand-in unless it's a stand-in that you've played a lot of games with. So I do like that they've moved Gizi onto the support and the Tiao Carrera on Lina, because this Rubik Lina will have good coordination. It's going to make this Rubik Lina Juggernaut lane very scary indeed. Moving over to Shitbirds, we do have Dilated Mind up on the Razor. We'll see if he ends up playing the side lane carry role or the mid role as that. Sanju will be piloting up that Gyrocopter. Kya on the Batrider. We'll also have to see where the Batrider ends up being. Fancy Cat is piloting up that Enchantress, most likely in the jungle. And AEI Owned You, which is quite a pretty funny name, is on Nyx Assassin. And here we go. We do actually see, is this a werebat? Yes, it is. Nice. Excellent. Good cosmetic going on right here. A little bit of cosmetic action. So about to get started. Dilated Mind, very interesting, actually picks up Boots of Speed first. So this will give Razor a lot of chasing power. Razor really wants to be faster than his enemies because he's able to channel the static link duration longer if he's able to continue chasing the enemy. If you get the full 8-second duration of the static link, it's much, much more useful than if it breaks after a few seconds. Consequently, now that static link doesn't actually break on when you lose line of sight, it's very useful. The most important thing for it is now solely to make sure that you actually are able to stick with the target. And wow, very interesting. They're basically running 1.512. Enchantress in the jungle, the safe lane jungle, obviously, not in the opposing jungle, because that's very difficult these days, considering 2 of the 3 members of the opposing tri-lane usually spend their time in the jungle. Kya on the solo safe Batrider, which will be paired up against Sono in the solo hard. Then we've got Sanju on the Gyrocopter in the middle, which I did say was a possibility, but it does render him somewhat gankable. And then Dilated Mind and AEI Owned You on the Razor and the Nyx Assassin, respectively, will be up in this bottom lane. And I do have to say that I'm very concerned about this 2 versus 3 lane. This is really where I think Meenix could earn an early advantage. If Tiao Carrero and Gizi spend a lot of their time in this bottom lane, I really feel like they could put an enormous amount of pressure on Dilated Mind and on AI Undo, who... That's gotta be an alias, I can't... Let me check really quick who he actually is. Because I think this is one of their standard players. This could be Bear Force 1, or that's the name he usually plays on, which I do really like. Sorry folks that I didn't find this out before. I don't know, actually. Maybe it is just a stand-in for them. At any rate, I do think that this 3 vs 2 lane substantially favors Meenix. If Dilated Mind gets unstable current, maybe, but even then, I mean, the one person that you really need to unstable current is the Juggernaut, and he doesn't have any targeted abilities. Dilated Mind already popping out the nuke. The problem is, as soon as a telekinesis actually lands, it's going to be trouble, because that telekinesis will be followed up by a Light Strike Array, and then Juggernaut will move through with the Blade Fury. This could be part of the logic behind this early boots of speed, actually, is after the Light Strike Array, which won't in and of itself kill you, maybe you can get out of the range of the Blade Fury. So this might actually turn out to be a very inspired move. But until then, we're just going to have to keep an eye out on this lane, because AI Undo on the Nyx might be in a bit of trouble as well. Kya, however, like I said, Bat Rider Lone Druid was one of the matchups that I did expect, so I'm not tremendously surprised to see this Bat Rider end up against this Lone Druid. And this is going to be a fine lane for Bat Rider. He may have to worry a tiny bit about the Lone Druid once he gets level 5, but the fact that this is the safe lane for SBS rather than the hard lane does mean that this Bat Rider is going to have a little less trouble actually being able to survive here. We do see a static link already up and an Impale coming through from AI, and he pops Spike Carapace, but Dilated Mind cops an enormous amount of damage. He does pop his Magic Stick. He's still alive for now. 36 HP. He gets picked off by Gizi. And there's the first blood coming from Gizi on the Rubik. Just enough damage. The Boots of Speed, not enough to actually get Dilated Mind out of range. And unfortunately, he cops a fall. And like I said, this 2 vs 3 lane is a difficult one. Actually using his nuke already as soon as he comes back in. And here we go, Enchantress using smoke. She's on Sanju, but unfortunately he's going... Fuzzy, he doesn't get slowed. He's actually popping his bottle charges. And he has enough HP to live through this, no question about it. The Hellbear will actually... Yes, the Hellbear will go down, and Fuzzy fairly safe. Unfortunately... Fancy Cat unable to make something happen there, unable to actually pick off the Brewmaster, and the Brewmaster is essentially fine. Meanwhile, I'm sorry about that, I actually missed a kill up top. While we were watching mid, a lot of pressure coming out from Kya on the Bat Rider, also fairly early boots, managing to pressure Sono just enough. And you can see, up to level 5, Lone Druid doesn't have a very easy lane here. He needs to be fairly close to his tower, or he's in danger of the Bat Rider just diving him. So one lane going very, very well for SBS at least. And we do see Fancy Cat actually rotating in here. If he gets lifted, this Enchantress is going to be in trouble. There's the Light Strike Array actually. Casual Light Strike. And I think Fancy Cat's going down. Yes! 2 on the board for Meenix. They're just going to pick off this Harpy Stormcrafter. It's Chain Lightning it for, so with actually Dilated Mind coming in, he gets Light Strike Arrayed, but here comes Fuzzy to try to defend. There gets the pick off. Razor getting the first kill on the board, and 2 for 2 actually. SBS not doing too bad. Solo kill for Dilated Mind will help his level situation a little bit. Takes him up to level 4. That does give him parity with Cowl on the Juggernaut, and good rotation actually, even from the carry there. Just making sure that he actually does get up on that board. That gives Nyx Assassin some space as well, get up to level 3, match the Meenix supports. And that's got to feel good for SBS. I think they made something out of nothing there, considering the gank on mid was essentially flubbed. They do lose Fancy Cat. He's not doing fantastically in this jungle, only about 6 last hits so far, and he's leveled down here in the level 3 dumps, where frequently expect a jungler to be a little higher level than that. And actually, Fancy Cat right now is in lane. Huh. I wonder if he's just going to come through and go into the top jungle and try to pick things off there, because there hasn't been that much jungle management from the Meenix supports because they've been mostly going for kills, so, huh. But right now, Fancy Cat is just getting nothing done. He's holding wards, he's just sort of soaking up XP, and I don't know that an Enchantress with rank 2 enchant and rank 1 Nature's Attendance is really that useful of a participant in a tri-lane, less her actual pets. So, Level 5 reached for Sono, and you can see that his posture is far more aggressive now. Kya actually taking gobs of damage. He has no mana to actually do anything except Napalm, but he does get away. These Tranquil Boots will reconstruct themselves. He pops the Healing Salve. Going to stay alive for now, but you can just see level 5 when you're talking about a lane with Lone Druid in it. is just, it's very, very possible for him to just bring you down with some lucky bashes. And, sorry, not some lucky entangles, I should say. And keep in mind, this is the Cosmetic Bear. Action in the bottom. We do see Light Strike Array coming through. Spike Carapace, nicely done. Long duration static link. Dilated Mind pops off his nuke. Geezy taking a lot of damage with Dilated Mind. Wow, what a Light Strike. Critical Light Strike Array from Tao Carrera there. And that totally turns this around. Dilated Mind taking a lot of damage. Cowell unable to chase the AI on you to the ends of the earth quite there. But Geezy stays alive. He manages to pop off a healing salve. That's exactly not what SBS wanted. And Meenix just slightly out-executing this lane so far. I mean, it begins with a tough lane for SBS because it's 2v3, but they're still playing it extremely aggressively. Meanwhile, in the middle, Fuzzy has taken a lot of damage, lots of pressure from Fancy Cat. This might maybe be a kill on Fuzzy. No, he pops off his ultimate, and now Fancy Cat's in trouble. He pops off the Nish's Attendance. Sanju actually taking lots of damage from these microbrews. I think they will probably bring him down with the burn from the fire, bro. Yes. And Fancy Cat, will he be lifted up by the Storm Panda? No, the boulder goes down. He's taking a lot of damage from Geezy and Fuzzy. No, the Thunderclap is a little bit too far away. Fancy Cat will live, but Sanju, who is by far the best farmer on the map, actually cops his first death now as well. And Sono in the top getting quite good development. The bright side for SBS is Fancy Cat's still alive. Sanju, even with the death, is farming quite well, almost at his Ring of Akala. And then, additionally, we have to say, Dilated Mind is actually out last-hitting Cowell on the bottom. So the fact that these Meenix supports are rotating over to get things done in other lanes does mean that Cowell is getting pressured in this lane, and he's not sort of able to come up to the lane and just get a lot of last hits. He's only at 14, behind their mid, Fuzzy, and behind Sono. But more importantly, behind, of course, Dilated Mind, the carry for SBS. So this lane not going so bad for SBS in conclusion. Sancha comes in to try to generate an opportunity top here, but this is turned away immediately. Geezy with the Fade Bolt will be good enough to get this last hit. Kya forced to flee. He's at 60 HP. He probably will get his Tranquil Boots reconstructed in just a few seconds, and that's going to be what he'll have to do to get out of here. Yes, he will be okay, but another attempt from SBS to be aggressive when they're essentially, I wouldn't say that far behind, but they're certainly not ahead. I gotta say, I applaud Shitbirds' aggressive posture, but I'm not sure it's that wise for them. It does bring them down to 5-2. They're pretty much even as far as gold goes. They were actually ahead until those last few kills. But in terms of XP, Meenix just finding the levels by virtue of having their supports participate in these kills. And you can see Fuzzy and Sono are now ahead. Sanju was sort of doing very well mid, but he spent so much time on that failed attempt to get something happening top that he's now a level behind Fuzzy. And Sono, with the danger of the entangle, is now a level ahead of Kya as well. The only sort of, yeah, I mean, Cowell, even though he has less last hits, is 2 levels ahead of Dilated Mind, because this has been a 1 versus 2 lane in which he hasn't died. So he's been able to amass a ton of XP considering the supports haven't been here. And there's really not much of a threat that Dilated Mind and Neiondu can put out, because of course Cowell can Blade Fury away from danger. So, SBS, the level situation I really do think is concerning. Here we go, the lift on Dilated Mind, the Light Strike Array comes through, Fuzzy is here, Cowell is here, the Blade Fury enough to get the kill, and 6-2, now the advantage for Meenix. The Brazilians really playing the fact that their laning in their early game is just a little bit more solid. A quick goodbye Impale coming out from Neiondu as he peels back from this tower. And this may go down. It is at full health. They don't have too much in the way of creeps. Actually, Kya getting a pick off at the top with the aid of Fancy Cat. So that's basically the first solid kill that I think Fancy Cat's been able to make. Sanju has arrived at the bottom. Fuzzy's going to cop both hits of this call down, but he does have his ultimate available. So SBS are going to have to be careful about how they pursue this and try to pick things up here. So far, it seems like they're happy just to drive Meenix away from the lane, and I think that makes sense. I think it's fairly good rationale for them to just push SBS away, rather than attempt to for them to just push Meenix away, rather than attempt to try to get more than that going. Sanju, he is, despite the fact that he's got the most last hits on the map, first off, 40 is nothing to really crow about. Nobody's been able to find excellent farm on this map. There's really not a single player that I would say has really surprisingly large farm. And that's because it's been sort of an aggressive game. We do have 9 kills and a lot of aggressive posturing in terms of positioning, harassment coming out from both teams, and so on and so forth. So nobody's really gotten the farm. Sanju has gotten the closest to a good amount of farm, but the fact that he has 2 deaths means that he doesn't really have that much to show for it. We have tier 1 boots, Akala, and Bottle. nothing to write home about by any stretch of the imagination. Kya, meanwhile, just bottled in Tranquil Boots, although this Bat Rider doing well. He is about 300 off from his Blink Dagger, which is probably the first big item that we'll see anybody on this playing field hit. Sono, he's got just his Orb of Venom, tier 2 boots on his primary Lone Druid. Bear actually has no boots, so we've seen Sono in particular do this before, and a couple other players have gone this Battle Tank Lone Druid build, where you sort of don't bother with boots on the bear, or you don't put very quick boots on the bear. You just look to really be a pushing force. When you have a Juggernaut on your team, you sometimes feel like it's less important for the bear to serve as initiation, and more for it to serve as a pushing force, so you don't even bother spending the money on the boots. You just sort of go straight for that armlet, and most likely he's going to do that. Juggernaut, we have Phase Boots versus Phase Boots here. So again, for Razor, the battle is about being faster than his enemy. And Fancy Cat, actually, in the enemy jungle here, but Cowl on the chase. He's got Omni Slash if he wants it, but Dilated Mind is here. Cowl is slowed. It does look like most of this Static Link is going to hit. Dilated Mind popping the ultimate, but not wishing to pursue this under the tower. And so this ultimate largely not going to do very much, unfortunately. Of course, until you get Aghanim Scepter, and you generally do not get Aghanim Scepter on Razor, you will not be doing any damage to towers with that ultimate. So, not really tremendously an effectual play for Shitbirds there. They're still in an aggressive posture. We see Fancy Cat here, AI owned you here. They're going to run directly into Fuzzy, who does have his ultimate still available. He takes a step back. Kya here trying to defend this tower. He's got his Blink Dagger, so that's a big development. Really not many items up for anybody other than this Blink Dagger, so it could be fairly consequential. Sono, he lets loose that Battle Cry, putting a little bit of pressure on this tower here. And this is probably could be this tower, but Kya so far doing a good job of defending. Just using that actually maxed out Flame Break to push back. You see he only has the 1 rank in Firefly, but he's maxed Flame Break for that more nuke damage. And a ton of pressure that SBS are applying to this tower, as well as to Cowl. There's actually the Impale does not go, and they need to flee because Sono is on the field. So is the Brewmaster ultimate. Dilated Mind, he's going to fall extremely quickly. Razor now 1 in 4. So far, this pick has not paid off. I'm not sure AI is going to make out of this. Wow, what an excellent Vendetta. Manages to dodge the boulder coming out of the Microbrews. And Sanju going to try to turn this around. There goes the call down. First hit, Lena's down. Wow, she died quickly. Sono's actually in quite a bit of trouble. The Impale, will they get him? Yes! The first probably convincing teamfight win for SBS. Will they get Cowl? Yes! And Impetus comes out. And Enchantress scoring a kill. And 3 down for Meenix in exchange for just Razor. Razor, of course, is not going to be very substantial in this game for a while, but the flip side is, they kill both core heroes from Meenix, the Lone Druid, the Juggernaut. Most likely, SBS are going to take the tower here as well, and finally, signs of life from the squad that was really getting pressured by this Brazilian team very heavily prior to that. It really seemed like Meenix had the chase locked up, but the entry of Sanju into the fight just really turned it. Well played to them overall. It does look like Gyrocopter's bought a Yasha, so quite a consequential fight for Shitbirds. Lets them hit some more items. And let's take a look at what is being built over on Meenix. So we do have Drums being built up on Juggernaut. Of course, Drums is complete on Razor, so a little bit ahead of that part of the development. Just a fairly soy sauce build on Lena so far. Rubik, same story, although he has a magic wand. And Brewmaster, unfortunately, actually, he's got to have something else. Here comes Call Down again. It's such a low cooldown spell. And keep in mind, Fuzzy doesn't have his ultimate. Sanju's Rocket Barrage almost completely deflected by creeps and illusions. So, SBS, they do disengage, but Kya wants more. So does AI do. He's on this Lena. Oh, she dies so quickly. 5 stacks on Sono. He might actually get picked off. Excellent Flame Break. Sono dies, and all of a sudden, this fight is turning. Giza gets brought down by flat cannon damage from Sanju. Not flat cannon damage, sorry, just regular damage. And 3 down again for Meenix. I'm not sure they should be taking... There's no tower here. It's been brought down. So the fact that they all just moved up without good vision of what was happening to the east or west let SBS essentially make a pincer motion onto them, almost Napoleonic. SBS, keep in mind, they have high ground vision. They have complete vision right now. Meenix have almost next to no vision of the actual map. And all of a sudden, I thought the Meenix were ahead, but now they're looking very behind. They're not finding farm on their core heroes, and they've just been wiped in 2 consecutive fights. The second time, SBS not even losing any players, and just essentially waiting for the moment to strike like vipers were Shitbirds. And when they struck, they struck. Fuzzy stays alive, but he still only has 37 last hits. He just has Bottle and Arcane Boots. Where is his blink, I wonder?
Dire's top tower
And
under attack.
somehow Dilated Mind and Sanju have just been able to find the farm, whereas Fuzzy, Sono, and Cowl have not at all. Still no drums up on this Juggernaut. And we've got to look towards the XP. Well, I was talking about how Meenix were substantially ahead with all these heroes hitting 8, but all they've done since the last time I spoke up is hit 9. Whereas SBS now exceed them with level 10 on Kya and Sanju, still level 8 on Dilated Mind, but oh, trouble for Sanju here. Light Strike Array pairing up with the Telekinesis, and Thunderclap and Dragon Slave will finish him off. That's an important kill. It will get these supports a little closer to where the supports of SBS are, because they were starting to peel head as well. So good kill, definitely, for Meenix there. But SBS, I feel like, are still somewhat in control of the game so far. Sanju just sort of getting caught out a little bit there. We will see a DD rune up for Dilated Mind. He still doesn't have that great base damage, so this isn't going to be a huge deal yet. But still. Excuse me. So Meenix, I do like that kill. It was an important kill. Get your supports some sort of gank ability. What they need to do is secure some map control in the form of warding. Meenix need vision. If not, they're going to find their players, even as tanky as Lone Druid is, even as able to deflect crowd control as Juggernaut is. Juggernaut can still be lassoed and killed. You need to know where the opponents are. We see SBS putting a little pressure on this top tower. The Fortify comes out. We've got 3 smoked players from Meenix, and SBS's vision is concentrated here, so they will not see this gank coming. The question is, should Meenix take this fight? And when will SBS see it? Here we go. 4 players here for Meenix. We're going to have a lasso. Dilated Mind is crowd controlled up. He actually has the bear static linked. Kya already with a kill in the back, but he will get locked down by these microbrews. Dilated Mind, meanwhile, turning this around. He has a full stack of static link from this bear. He's dealing incredible damage. 1 player down. They're chasing Fuzzy. His ultimate is over. This is great Razor damage here. Sanju also following up. They will take down this Brewmaster, and all of a sudden, Razor looking fantastic. Geezy taking an incredible amount of damage. He actually, Lena bought back into this game. They finally get a pick off on Sanju. The bear trying to turn things around. AI on this Nyx Assassin will fall. Second static link is out. Lena will drop post buyback. The Entangle on Dilated Mind. This will probably pick off this Razor. Will they even be able to get the bear? Probably not. So this was a weird trade. 4 for 3, 5 for 3 essentially. Not the worst trade for Meenix, but I wouldn't call it dramatically favorable either, considering they got the drop. They're going to try to finish this tower because it is, of course, low. It's not in deny range yet, but if Fancy Cat hits it so much as once, it will be in deny range. So he's got to push this out quite quickly. We do see this Midas, this fluff and stuff style Midas Enchantress, and actually, I guess it was 5 for 4 because they somehow lost their Courier in the midst of that. So Courier down for SBS. This isn't very early game, so the Courier down isn't a huge deal for ferrying items, but it is a huge deal as far as actually being able to as gold goes. So it gives some gold advantage back to Meenix. They are still behind because you can just see from this last hits, the farm of SBS is really outstripping Meenix, considering the fact that Enchantress actually has Midas, which is getting her extra XP as well as gold. SBS are substantially ahead. I mean, you see 4 players before the first player of Meenix. Meenix need vision and they need map control to find the farm, and they're steadily losing that map control by virtue of losing yet another tower. So SBS firmly in control of the game, I would say, even without their Courier. Meenix just, with this, essentially 3 heroes that all sort of require farm, and none of them have what they need. Do we even have Armlet on the bear? He's got this 2 gloves, so this is Armlet with an implication of a Mjolnir later on, but he kind of needs to go straight for Armlet, in my opinion, because prior to that, the bear is just really doesn't do that an incredible amount of damage. Meanwhile, Razor, you can just see this is sort of a race car Razor, as it were, being able to stick to that bear, or stick to the Juggernaut, or stick to whoever you have static linked. Drums, Shadow Blade, Phase Boots, when used together, those are going to give him a ton of movement speed. Meanwhile, Kya is hunting. Can he actually solo this Lina? He's going down to the low ground. We do see the lasso come out. Sanju is going to come in here. And oh my god, this is a lot of damage. Lina just getting torn apart. Homing Missile on Geezy will push him back. It's sort of just a disincentivizing homing missile. Don't come near us or you will be the next to fall. And Enchantress moving towards that Aghanim Scepter. Gotta use this Midas again, but still, you could just see the gold per minute. SBS really earning that gold and the level count. Only Sono is keeping up. He is level 12, so very good lone druid. He actually, does he have the highest? Yeah, he actually is the most fastest growing in terms of levels person on the map, but the gold per minute tells another story. And the levels overall, Enchantress 3 levels ahead of Lina. Nyx Assassin 2 levels ahead of Rubik. And that presents a dilemma for Meenix, which is that we want to stick together because we're getting picked apart one by one by the fact that Bat Rider has his Blink Dagger and now Force Staff. But when we stick together, we fall further behind on XP. And I really think that that means that Meenix probably need to do some pushing. Getting some towers would help them with the map control, and it would sort of, here we go. They have tried to push. There goes the call down. It might not hit anybody. It actually hits Cowell, and he is lassoed, actually. This is a dead Juggernaut. Razor finishes off the Roche. That'll be brought in on the back half of this, and Juggernaut down, unfortunately. Meenix, actually Juggernaut with a point booster, so I guess Aghanim Scepter for this Jug. Really good response from Meenix here, but unfortunately they're probably going to trade Lina for Nyx Assassin. I'm not sure of the prudence of that trade, actually. When you're trading up for levels, you can kind of get more XP, but dial that in mind. Just so fast, you really can't run from this Razor right now. He's improved from 1 and 4 to 7 and 5. I mean, he's looking just so much stronger now. And Shitbirds pressing up the middle, doing quite a bit of damage to... No, I mean, sorry, I thought that they might press into this tower, but they've decided not to. They've got about 5.5 minutes, actually, to be able to use this Aegis on Razor, and they're going to be patient about it, which makes perfect sense. Meenix, meanwhile, finally earned the Blink Dagger on Fuzzy. This will give some counter-initiation potential, but I just don't think you can really initiate against what SBS are doing. They really have to maybe find the split push if they can, like Juggernaut plus Lone Druid one lane, and then the 3 others, but I don't know. It's a tough situation for Meenix because it's like, where on the map is actually safe? Fuzzy actually initiating, doing a pretty decent amount of damage to Fancy Cap, but there's the static link. He will pop off his ultimate in response, and Fancy Cap brought down very quickly. This is a good initiation from Meenix, frankly, and they're going to continue chasing. Do they know that Nyx Assassin is here? No, they don't. Unfortunately, they have no detection. And so, when you're using your microbrews to farm the jungle, that's definitely not an optimal usage. All they could find was 1 kill from that, unfortunately. AI on you, he is level 11. Will he attempt to turn this around? We see him building towards the mechanism. It would be highly imprudent of him to engage here, and so he decides not to. Just going to sort of spend the rest of his Vendetta safe. What's the mechanism status on Meenix, I wonder? Actually, nothing. Nobody has any parts of a mechanism. And that's unfortunate, as SBS are going to just get further ahead as far as these team fights go, just by virtue of being able to have that mechanism, in addition to just their good sustainability. Mech will help that sustain. It'll help the Razor make sure that he stays up. Oh man, Yasha. This race car lifestealer is... Sorry, I said race car lifestealer, but I meant race car Razor. Razor. Razor is now 423 base movement speed, even when he doesn't use Phase Boots or Shadow Blade or Drums, and that's incredible. You see the max movement speed when he actually activates everything at the same time. Almost max movement speed with just the Shadow Blade, and this is just an incredibly speedy Razor. Just hunting with his Shadow Blade. I like this build a lot, frankly. I wonder if this will be a... I think this is more likely to be a Manta style than it is a Sange and Yasha. But both are options. I think Manta style is actually far more likely, since at this point I feel like SBS don't expect this to go much longer, and the SNY is actually better for longer games, since you can disassemble it and reassemble a Manta plus Halberd. So I think we're more likely to see him actually go straight for that Manta, because that would be very useful at this point for this #1 role Razor. Juggernaut, you do see Cowell climbing to the 4th rank in the net worth. I guess he is going to build Aghanim Scepter, because that's really the only reason I see. Oh no, Tiao Carrero. When you're a support and there's a level 12 Nyx Assassin on the board and you're only level 10, you start feeling really weak, and actually, SBS continuing to extend their map control with another tower pick off on the bottom. This will be mechanism for the Nyx Assassin as a result of that kill. So painful to try to fight up against Nyx as in that role. Actually, we do see a disconnect. Giza getting caught out. The Flame Break will hit. There's a lot of damage. I think we're probably going to get a pause. Yeah, we do have a disconnect from Sono. Gonna see him reconnect in just a moment. BKB and Yasha finished on Gyrocopter, so this is becoming a fairly scary Gyrocopter from Sanju. Now, if they manage to actually get up the Aghanim Scepter on Juggernaut, it will help quite a bit. They're at 850 gold away from it. If they're able to finish that, I mean, that'll be fairly useful just because he won't be in trouble during that period of time. But other than that, I don't really know what items are going to help Meenix a lot. The armlet on the bear, I feel, is extremely critical. Where actually is that bear? Oh, it's under the game paused screen. It's got the armlet. He's going to build towards Maelstrom. That will give them more damage. The issue for Meenix, I think, is going to become survivability, because Nyx Assassin can pick off one of your supports. Bat Rider or Enchantress are very liable to pick up another of your supports. And then what do? You're now 3 versus 5. Those 3 are very survivable. But can you actually survive long enough to get the kills? Alright. So Meenix now pushed into their base, essentially. And this is crunch time for them. They're not out. They're not out of this game, and they're not out of this tournament. But they need to play very, very scrappy, and I feel they need to hope that SBS makes a mistake. SBS, they've only got 2 minutes on this Roshan, and they know it. So they may feel like that compels them to push. It actually, in reality, knowing what we know, does not. But perhaps they're going to feel more pressure than they actually are. This is a high-pressure, high-stakes game, of course. The loser will leave the tournament. So it's possible that Shitbirds would find themselves sort of baited into pushing in, which I actually don't think they would necessarily be able to do. I don't know that they necessarily can high ground against Meenix's team. If Meenix get a very favorable initiation, and they keep their supports far enough in the back, when they fight on open ground, the Nyx Assassin is able to get kills. But if they fight on their high ground, it's going to be difficult for the Nyx Assassin to actually get in there with Vendetta because of the vision afforded by the Tier 3 towers. So I feel like Meenix, if they play very defensively, are actually in okay shape. We do see Static Link coming out on the bear. He's got a phase boots away from this. Oh no! Meenix still on the low guard. Excellent lift! They actually will stop Kya, and that's a very important start to this fight. If Kya is on the ground and he doesn't get the good initiation, they actually might feel fairly good here. Omni Slash coming through. Dilated Mind taking a lot of damage. Meenix, will they be able to turn this around? There's the Aegis. Sanju has come in. He gets entangled. 2 hits of cooldown coming down. AI Undo picking off Teo Carrero on the back. He wants more kills. Sono is taking a lot of damage. Oh no, they get the pick off on Sono. That's not good. Fuzzy trying to get out of this fight. Kawa will actually successfully TP. There's the Blink Dagger. Fuzzy gets to the high ground. I don't think this Impale is going to go through. It does miss. And an okay trade for Meenix. Not fantastic, but not the end of the world. They are still in this. They're still in this, and they're still able to get to defend this tower, but they got a Lone Druid on the ground for 30 seconds, and that's a problem. They do have the Fortify. That can buy them some time, but this 4v4, I don't know that they're that favored. There's no Bat Rider, so they don't have to worry about that initiation. There's the Fortify. This may push SBS off the tower for now. Homing Missile goes down. I'm not sure who this is targeted on. It's actually on Gizi. They do bring it down, and the defense is successful. This tower is still at about 40% health, and Meenix are hanging on. Like I said, their best bet is the high ground. The high ground can give them hope. Juggernaut, Cowl, he's holding buyback, but we're going to have to see in 40 gold, will he buy out? Because he's got 50 seconds cooldown on the Omni Slash. Right now, even having Aghanims would not help him because, oh, Kya's in here. The lasso comes down. Cowl's in a lot of trouble. He's going to need that buyback gold right around now when he gets brought down. Call down comes down, not actually doing that much. This bear is in. Static Link has come through. The bear's doing what it can. Cowl gets picked off. He's going to have to buy back. Teo Carrero on the ground as well. Oh, no, Fuzzy. Oh, that's a problem. He doesn't have buyback. SBS pressuring the tower very heavily. I think they realize they have this well in hand. Gyrocopter popped off his BKB. He's building towards probably an MKB. There's the full MKB for him. He just has to go to Fountain to pick it up. And this is the first set of racks. Meenix on the ropes. Can they be able to survive? I'm not exactly sure. They do actually pick off... Oh, Sanju getting really overconfident there. Heading to the Fountain to pick up his MKB. He picks up the MKB, but he pays dearly for the privilege. Will they attempt to go for a second Rax? Will this bear get an entangle? Fancy Cat taking a lot of damage. The bear chasing. They do lift him up with Rubik. There's Enchantress on the ground. Kya, he will try to get out. Enchantress actually almost done with her Aghanim Scepter, but Fancy Cat still. He's gone for 48 seconds. Sanju gone for 42. And Meenix, they lose 1 Rax, but I have to say they're still not dead. They're still not out of this. Down 10 kills, down a fairly dramatic amount of gold, probably about 12k if I had to guess. Oh my god, more than I thought, 20k. Ooh, 20k and 16k. But nonetheless, a lot of that is actually this 2-level advantage for Gyrocopter. And Sanju has proven himself able to be brought down by virtue of getting over-aggressive. So, Sono, he's level 15. Cowl is level 14. These guys are threats. The issue, of course, Fuzzy, Tao Carrera, and Geezy are all pretty low level and all very, very squishy. They basically have to stay on the high ground or stay in a clump and safe. They also need detection because basically because the AI on you is level 14, he can get some pretty serious pickoffs, especially when he hits level 16 on that level rank 3 Vendetta. For now, he's still level 15. But Meenix, are they going to find themselves in a fight? They do put down the Sentry Ward, so they're looking to hold this middle area, I feel, or at least see Nyx Assassin coming through. They got the high ground ward vision, so this sort of area is covered with vision, and then as soon as anybody comes into sort of this area, they will spot him out of stealth. But Meenix, I think this is wise. They still have to peel back. They need to not just defend, they need to win a defense. And so they didn't really win that defense that dramatically. About 40 seconds until Roshan. Meenix could try to make something happen at Rosh, maybe. Intercepting a Roshan would be a big coup for them, but they need the perfect initiation. They really need to be able to convincingly win a fight, not just draw with a little bit of a loss like that last fight where they didn't lose by that dramatic of a margin in terms of hero versus hero, but they lost the Raxes. They lost 2 of their 6 Raxes, and that you can't be happy about that if you're Meenix. You can't be happy with the fact that one lane is essentially closed off to you for control for the rest of the game. I mean, that's the lane that they'll at least have a tier 1 tower in. But keep in mind, SBS, they've got 5 towers up. They've got tiers 1 and 2 in the mid and bot. So even if Meenix win a fight, they will not be able to Rax off of it. There's no way. Here we go. Meenix have started the fight. Omni Slash coming through. Sanju taking a decent amount of damage. He's actually entangled. They will be able to bring this Gyrocopter down very quickly, but unfortunately, Sono taking gobs of damage, and he doesn't have buyback. Oh, the stolen call down. Kiao will be brought down by this. Actually, Sono is still up. Cowl is full health as well. Fancy Cat's going to take it down. Sono's barely alive. Fancy Cat might get the kill, but Cowl will he be able to find more pickups? No, he's out of mana. He needs to pop off this magic wand if he hopes to survive. No, the Juggernaut goes down. Dilated Mind ends up picking up the ultra kill, dealing so much damage in the back to these low-level supports. Fuzzy, he makes it out. He's actually in the fountain somehow. He actually TP'd out just now after the end of his ultimate. And unfortunately, this may spell the doom for Meenix. That was almost the best initiation they could get, but they still didn't have the Juggernaut Aghanim Scepter for the more Omni Slash jumps. Sono, not quite tanky enough with just the Magic Stick on the Lone Druid. And SBS, they're going in for the kill. They're pressuring this tower very, very heavily. And 28 seconds, 26 seconds on those critical core Meenix heroes. The only heroes that are keeping up. Unfortunately, SBS looked to pick up the second set of Raxes. Meenix hanging on by the most fragile of threads. Geezy actually taking a bit of a posture here. Just trying to anything he can to sort of just position himself. Oh, AI don't do with the blink in. Tao Carrera in trouble here as well. Just look at how much damage. 1 freaking... Oh, 2 impetus is almost enough to pick him off. Oh, dear. Dilated Mind. 13 and 5. This guy has gone on a 12 and 1 streak. This Razor just more and more threatening by the moment. And Fuzzy and Sono, they're back up. They're coming in. But no. Meenix still hanging on, but like I said, by the most fragile of threads. Their net worth just being crushed by this Razor and this Gyrocopter. Manta Style, Shadowblade, Phase Boots, Drums, and 5.5k. Here we go. SBS going to pick up a hard on the back of this, and that will signal their final push. Just pushing in this tower enough to make sure that Meenix have to spend their time defending it. There's absolutely no way that Meenix can contest Mega Creeps. Mega Creeps will be the end of this game because there are too many outer towers up for SBS to make it tenable for Meenix to actually push back. So Meenix, they need to make sure that Mega Creeps don't happen. And they can't make sure that this Roshan doesn't happen. They're just going to have to deal with the fact that Dilated Mind will have a Roshan and whatever's being delivered to him on this courier. Actually, Scotty. A full Scotty for Dilated Mind. This Razor is going to be terrifying. Scotty gives you tankiness, a slow, and the ability. He will never, no one will escape this Razor. This Razor is absolutely tremendous. This is the largest Razor I've seen in a pro or semi-pro game in my life, I think. I don't think I've ever seen a Razor as farmed as Dilated Mind is right now. And that's to say nothing of the fact that Sanju has Yasha MKB. He actually takes the Aegis because they feel that Dilated Mind is survivable enough. And here we go. Meenix, they make their last stand actually on a non-traditional high ground. There's the call down. Cowl, he needs to pop off this. Oh no! They're getting taken apart! Dilated Mind and Sanju dealing far too much damage to Meenix. Cowl already on the ground. He does not have buyback. He bought out for this Aghanim Scepter and he doesn't have the ability to use it. 3 down for Meenix. And we see the GG coming out from Tao Carrero. Meenix, they had a good beginning, but they couldn't parlay it into anything else. And SBS, they roll over. Once they got their power set up, once they were able to get those chases going, it was impossible to escape from the early Blink Batrider, from the Nyx Assassin eventually picking up a Blink, the slows of the Enchantress, the slows of the Razor once it gets... the slows of the Gyrocopter, I should say, the Batrider, and a chasing composition chases Meenix all over the map. The Gyrocopter, sorry, the Lone Druid, the Juggernaut, the Brewmaster, not able to find their farm, not able to stand up to the development of Shitbirds as heroes. And we do see SBS, the American team, going to round 3 of the Losers Bracket playoffs. American plus one Swedish guy. I think Sanju actually is Swedish. But there we go. SBS, they advance. They will face up against the winner of our next game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to everybody watching in a tournament ticket from Dota TV. Thanks to everybody watching on the stream on Twitch TV. If you've been watching the entire tournament, thank you. I hope you guys have seen some fantastic games. Will be highlight videos posted, I think, sooner or later of the best games and the best plays. If you're just joining us, I hope you enjoyed that game. Quite interesting. This Choice of the Razor ending up... in the beginning, it looked a little shaky, but really, really paying off in the medium to long term for SBS. And Shitbirds, they will advance. And who will advance with them? Who will face up against them in the Losers Bracket Round 3 on the 24th of April? We're about to find out, folks. Stick with us.